Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Something to Think About, an opportunity to ponder on what the Gospels tell us about Jesus and how it might influence and shape our own lives. This week I want to ask you a question. How do you treat others, especially those who cannot offer you anything or help you in any way? I want you to bear that question in mind as we read from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 9. They left that place and passed through Galilee. Jesus did not want anyone to know where they were, because he was teaching his disciples. He said to them, "The Son of Man is going to be delivered into the hands of men. They will kill him, and after 3 days he will rise." But they did not understand what he meant and were afraid to ask about it. They came to Capernaum. When he was in the house, he asked them, "What were you arguing about on the road?" But they kept quiet because on the way they had argued about who was the greatest. Sitting down, Jesus called the 12 and said, "Anyone who wants to be first must be the very last and the servant of all." He took a little child whom he placed among them. Taking the child in his arms, he said to them, "Whoever welcomes one of these little children in my name welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me does not welcome me, but the one who sent me." Some time ago, I visited a church where I was not known, and the person at the door greeted me with a polite hello, and I went on into the church. A little while later, that person discovered that I was in fact a Methodist minister, and they rushed over me and said, "Oh, I am sorry. Had I known who you were, I would have given you a proper welcome." Well, you may have all sorts of reactions to that story, but the thing that stood out for me is that this person seemed to have two types of welcome: a normal welcome, which presumably I received at the door, and a proper welcome, which I never did quite discover what it was. Now, I don't know quite how this person differentiated between a normal welcome and a proper welcome, but this seems to be what Jesus is talking about in the incident we've just heard from our Bible reading. In Jesus' day, social status really was important, because if you had friends in high places, they really could save your life. And so, having the sort of status that got you noticed by important and influential people really did matter, because when life was hard, when life was difficult, or you were running out of resources, your friends in high places could take care of you. And I wonder if that's what the disciples were arguing about. My friends are better and more important than your friends. The equivalent of "my dad's bigger than yours" types of argument that kids have in the playground. And you can almost see Jesus rolling his eyes when he realizes that the teaching that he's given to the disciples so far has fallen on deaf ears. And in that moment, he uses a visual aid, a child that just happened to be nearby, conveniently situated to make an important point to the disciples. Now, in Jesus' day, children had no standing or importance whatsoever in society. They could not contribute to society, nor could they be of benefit to anybody. And so they were pretty much bottom of the social pecking order. They would look up to everybody, and everybody would look down on them. So this is when Jesus says, "Whoever welcomes one of these little children in my name welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me does not welcome me, but the one who sent me." Jesus was effectively saying, look, these little ones, who can't do anything for you, who can't help you in any way, give them a proper welcome. And in doing so, you'll be welcoming me. And you know what? That's a pretty good challenge for all of us, isn't it? Who are we going to give our proper welcome to? Just the people who matter to us, or who can make a difference in our lives? Which, as I say, it sounds a little bit creepy and brown-nosed. Or are we extending a proper welcome to the people who really cannot help us or do anything for us? At the end of the day, it is said that the quality of a person is not measured by their connections or social importance, but by the way they treat people who cannot help them or do anything for them in return. And I wonder how I measure up to that. I wonder how you measure up to that. And so I would invite you just for a moment to think about that question. Do I reserve a proper welcome just for the select few? How do I treat people who cannot do anything for me? Ponder that question for a few moments and ask yourself whether perhaps a slight change in your life is required. If a change or adjustment is required, God is only too pleased to get stuck in and help. And God is here now, understanding you, loving you, and longing for you to be the best person that you can be. Thank you very much for watching, and catch up with you again next week.